Daylight breaks over the ridge. The hounds strike. No crowds, no cameras, just a track and the hounds that bring the story to life. That's what this show's about. Dogs, dirt roads, early mornings, and the people who live it. This is Creekside Chronicles. Hounds, hunting, and heritage. I am your host, Heath Hyatt, houndsman, hunter, and a lifelong student of the outdoors. Here, we chase more than game. We chase knowledge about hounds, hunting, and living the outdoor life the right way. From bear country to back roads, this is where the hunt meets heart, and every story runs a different trail. So pull up your chair by the creek, leash up your best hound, and let's get after it together. Performance starts in the feed. Inukshuk's high-fat content fuels long runs and hard hunts, giving dogs the steady energy they need, while quality protein supports faster recovery after the work is done. That's why I trust Inukshuk dog food. Packed with energy and nutrition dogs need to go further, run harder, and recover stronger. If you want extreme performance, you can look them up at Inukshuk Professional Dog Food or CoreyNutrition.com. Up early this morning. I'm sitting here and I'm waiting on Snowmageddon 2026. I guess a lot of us are. By the time this drops, hopefully it's gone or halfway past. But man, we've got the generator full of gas and all of our gas cans. Good load of wood in the basement. Got the fire going. So we are prepared. And preparedness means that hopefully it won't happen. You guys will have to excuse my voice. Night before last was at the basketball game and lost it yelling at the refs in a good way, not a bad way. And then last night we had a wrestling match. So, yeah, my voice is done. It's over, like cooked. The last couple of days, the stuff that's going on in Virginia has been weighing on me. In fact, I didn't sleep a lot last night, just thinking about it, going over it, trying to understand why. I know why. But guys, if we do not get involved and professionally air our grievances, bring very good and valid talking points up and references with the bills that are being brought to the committees, and we're going to be brought to the House and the Senate for votes. And the bills that I'm talking about are the SB471 HB, so Senate bill and House bill, HB1396 and SB770. Those are the three bills I'm talking about. And I made a post yesterday or day before yesterday on my Facebook about rural America. And this doesn't just affect Virginians. You see what's going on in Mississippi. Maine fights it every year. I know, talking to Doug DeVos, Vermont, they fight it too. This is an ongoing battle with hound hunting, a tradition that is rooted in the rural communities, that is slowly and surely being regulated out by death of 1,000 cuts. We're going to chip away at this until you can't do it. So I was laying in bed last night and I was like, you know what? I wasn't
gonna put this podcast out until later on, and I'm like, you know what? We got to get it. We got to get in front of it, not behind it. But in my post, I talked about how people in different areas make laws or regulations, and I say this at work. We make a blanket policy. I call it the shotgun effect. You blast everybody, but it only really pertains to a small group of individuals or person. But when I blanket everybody, it covers everybody, and a lot of times it doesn't. It does not do any good for most of us. So go back to these policies that are, or these regulations and laws, or they're trying to put forward. What goes on in Northern Virginia is a completely different reality than what goes on in Southwest Virginia. What goes on in Eastern Virginia is a different reality than what happens in Northern Virginia. What goes on in Central Virginia is a different reality from Western Virginia, Southwest Virginia, and Eastern Virginia. Like, it really boggles my mind that this stuff is coming out, which we knew it was coming. We knew with the landowners committee and the lack of compromise, we were told that buckle up, because if we get the majority, we're going to push this stuff through. So I just want to talk about this. I want to talk about some talking points to give everybody, an idea, and maybe it'll give some people some things to talk about, and change some minds of people. So together, the SB471, HB1396, and SB770, they don't just tweak regulations. They fundamentally undermine the practicality, tradition, and the future of hound hunting in Virginia. And how's that happen? Well, it criminalizes normal hound handling practices. It makes lawful hunting unworkable across large areas. It almost prioritizes one hunting style over another. We just separated the state. What happens in Eastern Virginia, Southwest Virginia, Northern Virginia, Central Virginia is all different, but it puts them in a group together. And this is where the big one, it creates enforcement confusion and selective penalties. Okay, so let's go over each individual bill. SB 471, it criminalizes normal, safe hound use. So the bill is that you cannot turn loose within 15 foot of a highway. Well, in Southwest Virginia, in the areas that most of us hunt, state highways, like in our national forest, where there's no houses, nothing, national forest on both sides of the road, they're saying I can't turn it, I got to get out of the road, walk my dog 15 foot, and turn it loose. But it makes an exception for me to catch my dogs. So let's just bring away some here. So it makes a crime to release a dog within 15 foot of public roadway. So in rural Virginia, roads are everywhere. And often we have no other alternative access. Okay? It turns ordinary, responsible hound hunting into a misdemeanor. And here's the big one. It lets Karen take a picture and use that as evidence against us. So how does she know, or how does the picture know, that we aren't catching our dogs? And there's a clause in there that says you can, now here's the tricky part. It says a companion animal, that you can stop in the road and catch a companion animal. Well, my hounds are family. So does that count? Who's gonna determine that? The game warden, the judge? How does that work? But how's the pitcher going to dictate whether I'm picking the dog up or I'm turning it loose? The pitcher cannot say that. There should be more corroborating evidence than somebody taking a picture on the side of the road. That's a very bad law practice. I can't use a picture alone. Yes, it's evidence, but I can't use it in my job. I got to have something else that corroborates that evidence. And here's the thing. Here's another thing. So here's the criminal penalties are disproportionate. The first offense is a Class 3 misdemeanor. So there's 4 misdemeanors in the state of Virginia: Class 1, Class 2, Class 3, and Class 4. A dip, a drunk in public, is a Class 4. It does not go in your criminal history. It never shows up. It's pretty much non-existent because it's a minor offense. Class 3 misdemeanor falls in that category. The second offense goes to a Class 1 misdemeanor and a loss of hunting rights for 5 years. All right, let's talk about this real quick. This is where it's disproportionate. I can get a DUI, lose my license to drive, but I can get a temporary permit to drive to and from work, medical, and VSAP. For a year, a DUI can kill somebody. Involuntary manslaughter, if I hit somebody driving drunk, it's 5 years penalty. Yet you're going to take my hunting privileges for 5 years for turning a dog loose in a road? That is disproportionate. It treats ethical hunters like reckless offenders for technical violations. It does not meet the crime. You're taking a common ethical hunting practice and turning it into a crime. That's the arguments we need to make. So what kind of effect does this have on participation? Well, you risk an arrest because a Class 1 misdemeanor is an arrestable offense. You're going to drive people out of hound hunting. You're discouraging youth hunters, which is what we stand on a platform and preach. And it is especially harmful to multi-generation hunting families. So let's look at House Bill 1396. This one makes hound hunting practically impossible. Okay? Here's why. It requires a permit. It requires a permit and adds bureaucracy without benefit. It requires state permit to hunt with dogs, only fur-bearing dogs, excluding foxhounds. We don't want to drag them into this mess, but why did they leave out foxhounds? Because foxhounds is in central Charlottesville area in Northern Virginia. They have a lot of money. They probably got ties to the party that's in office right now, and they don't want to get involved in it. But they excluded fox hunting. No bird dogs, whether it be waterfowl, pointers, nothing was involved in this. We are being separated. There is no evidence that the current laws are insufficient. It adds cost, red tape, a lot of uncertainty, especially for small clubs and individuals, is what they're asking. But that ignores the reality of hound hunting, which is one of the whole reasons we are even having this conversation, is the landowners. And I am a landowner. My family are landowners. And we're from Southwest Virginia, and we understand that dogs come across your property. And as a landowner, I just ask that you be respectful. And then in turn, I'm going to give you the same thing. But when you're hunting, dogs going to range around across large areas. And to require written permission for every landowner a dog might cross is unreasonable. Why? I have turned my dog loose in one county and got after a bear and ended up 2 counties over. So you're going to require me to basically get landowner permission within a 25-mile radius? Because that's what you're saying. It effectively bans hound hunting everywhere except mass single owner tracts. National forest, that's where I hunt the majority of the time. I can turn loose right in the middle of 78,000 acres. And just like I said, that bear may be coming through there looking for a home range and end up plumbing another jurisdiction. I've ended up in a different zip code several times. And I'm supposed to go get landowners permission before this happens? That is unrealistic expectations. And it's unequal treatment is what it is. It singles out hound hunters for special permits and restrictions. Other hunting methods are not subject to the same or similar pre-approval. So you're asking me to get permission on something that I cannot predict. That makes sense, right? No, make it make sense. And it creates a 2-tier hunting system where hound hunters are treated like an inherent problem. And we are not. I'm not saying that we don't have problems. But we are not the problem. So my question is, if you're going to require these, and here should be a talking point, if you're going to require me to buy a hound permit and get permission off these landowners, are these legislators going to require the game department, and I'm not putting this on the game department, I'm just saying here's a law, to start enforcing the impeding the hunt statute? So here's the statute. It's Virginia Code 29.1, 521.1. It says willfully impeding a hunt or trapping penalty. It is unlawful for a person to willfully or intentionally impede a lawful hunt or trapping of wild birds or wild animals in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So what happens if that landowner purposely goes and catches the dogs on their property that was going through them? That's impeding a hunt. The law says it right there. Now, let me tell you something about the code section, just for people that don't know. There's the criminal code and there's the administrative code. The criminal code is 18.2. The administrative code is 29.1. 29.1 is going to be your class 3, class 4 misdemeanors, unless you get caught multiple times, and then it flips it up to a class 1, which is going to be a arrestable, or you can pull jail time offense. So if you're going to implement these restrictions and these unethical restricting laws, are you going to be willing to enforce it when the landowners are impeding the hunt? And after 2 times of them getting caught doing it, what happens to them? They going to pull jail time? Just a question. And I think it deserves a fair answer. Because that's what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen. So that's the House Bill 1396. All right, let's talk about the SB770. This one gets a little tricky. But it basically punishes hound hunting out of season. One group season comes at an expense of another. So the muzzleloaders, hunters, they get to have their time, but they're going to try to ban all hound hunting, all dog hunting during this 3-week season. So it creates a mandatory early muzzleloading season. It bans all dog hunting for that additional 3 weeks. It removes flexibility from the Board of Wildlife Resources, the DWR, to balance seasons regionally. Remember we talked about you can't blanket the whole state? You can't? Right. And here's the talking point. There is no biological or safety justification. There is no data showing that hunting during this period harms deer populations. In fact, numerous studies show it doesn't affect deer hunting at all. So please explain this to me. Just 3 studies. University of Georgia did one, University of South Carolina did one, University of Kentucky did one, actually Virginia Tech done one, and we can keep going down the list. But I pulled one up that I thought was very good. This was a 25-year observational data. Now, yes, it did come from southeastern Ontario, but it's a 25-year show. It shows you data for 25 years. Researchers compared deer encounter rates and harvest per hunter for day camps, people that go in and camp for a day, with dogs, with no dogs, with 1 dog, and then multiple dogs. They found no difference in the deer encounter rates among any of these groups. So what does that mean? Dogs did not dramatically alter deer availability or population encounters. That's a 25-year data set. It didn't affect the deer. So tell me scientifically why we are going to ban all dog hunting for 3 weeks during muzzleloader season. Well, I can tell you why. Because some muzzleloader that's a prominent person has got ties with a politician, and that politician pushed this bill. Now listen, I'm for all hunting. You do not hear me trying to get muzzleloading season banned when in late season, over my 30 plus years of bear hunting, I've had multiple, not 1, not 2, but multiple muzzleloaders shoot bear out from underneath my dogs. I've had it happen. I'm not calling for them to cut out the late muzzleloading season. So why are we asking for this? There's no evidence that it increased safety risks. This is a policy choice, not a science-based one. Oh, but let's make an exemption. If you muzzleloaders wound deer, let's call a dog in to track it. But that's okay. That's okay. Can't dog hunt, but I can come find your wounded animal. It's not okay. So this compounds the loss of availability of days for us. We know in the state of Virginia, you only have so many days to hunt. And now you're going to basically exclude me for 3 weeks. I feel like it's going to affect the coon hunters. And it's going to affect the guys down east that are bear hunting more than Southwest Virginia. Again, we talk about that blanket policy, right? It may have a little effect on us, but it affects our partners and our buddies in other parts of the state. So I'm not okay with it. So basically, it's a cumulative impact, a death by 1,000 cuts. So we're going to reduce land access. We're going to continue to put growing regulatory pressure on hound hunters, which are going to drive hunters out. When we drive hunters out, it weakens the economy, because we all know as hound hunters what we put into the economy. We've talked about it on the podcast. I mean, the dogs alone are expensive. The feed, the maintenance, the houses, the pens, the gas, the travel. we dump a lot of money into this economy, and I think we have to start talking about that. We've got to start talking about it. And SB770, it shrinks the calendar. It threatens the availability of hound-based traditions. It's not a good bill. So these bills together are going to help start the trifecta of eliminating hound hunting. SB 471 puts you at criminal risk for releasing a dog. House Bill 1396 permits an impossible land permissions. Like that's where the whole issue started, over the trespassing on land. And I understand. I get it. I'm on both sides of the spectrum there. I got land. I own land. My family's got a big chunk of land right in the middle of bear country. But when you're moving in from out of state, and I think this is a lot of things we're not saying out loud, you're moving in from other areas into a tradition-rich environment in the state of Virginia that hound hunts. It is woven into the fabric of who we are. SB 770, fewer legal days to hunt. Basically, the result of this is hound hunting becomes legally risky, logically impossible, or both. And we'll go back to the impact on rural Virginians. It is deeply tied to our culture. Deeply tied to it. And some of these bills favor hunters with money, land, and access, not the working families. Because the one bill has that they're going to do a $3 license. Well, wait a second. Why? Why does the landowners need that when it says in the code already that if you're a landowner or family member, immediate family member, you don't need a license, right? The hound permit. I was on the fence with this one. Like, I thought it was a good thing so it could show how many hound hunters are in the state of Virginia. But on the other side of that, I think they're going to use it against us, and they're going to use it for the trespassing law. So I cannot bring myself to be in favor of it, even though I do think it has a good purpose, but the intent is wrong. So what's going to happen? It's going to be a loss of tradition, mentorship, conservation support. We're going to lose license revenue, wildlife management out the window, youth membership. We always talk about the future of our sport is in the youth. And this weakens Virginia's broader hunting and conservation community. These bills don't regulate hound hunting. They regulate it out of existence, slowly, death by 1,000 cuts. It criminalizes normal behavior, imposes impossible requirements, and steadily reduces opportunity. All without clear safety or conservation justification. There is no scientific data behind this. That is a talking point. No scientific data. This is all policy driven. Guys, sending emails, making phone calls, I would recommend doing both. I would get everybody in your hunting party, everybody in your local coon club, your deer clubs, your fox pens, whoever However, they need to be calling, they need to be emailing, and they need to be doing it respectfully. Calling names and throwing out slurs, threatening, that's not going to get us anywhere. We've already seen that. It's just going to shut it down. But when you start saying, tell me the scientific part of this, show me the logistics, how is this benefiting X, Y, and Z, then I think we can make some ground with this. Like I said, it's been on my mind. Like I said, I've been hunting 32 years now, and I would like to continue. And I know that there's got to be some common ground. I understand that. But all this does is separate hound hunters from all other legal methods of hunting and regulate us into the ground. So if you're listening to this podcast, and if you are, thank you very much. You need to send this to all your hunting buddies. I don't care if it's a hound hunter, a deer hunter, a bird hunter. I don't care. Turkey hunter. We are all in this together. Because if you think for 1 minute they are going to stop with us hound hunting, you're wrong. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And the landscape is changing as we know it. And I'll leave it with this. You cannot throw a blanket across the state of Virginia and create policies that have no realities, or you do not understand the way of life or the realities in the area that you are putting in place these regulations or laws. So please pass this on. Please send emails. Please call. Please be respectful. It's going to be a wrap for this episode of Creekside Chronicles. We appreciate you spending your time with us, whether you're in the truck, in the woods, or sitting by the creek listening along. Thank you for walking this trail with us. And thank you to W Supply for hosting the podcast and supporting what we do. Be sure to check them out and go to wsupply.com for all of your hound needs. Until next time, keep your dogs fed right, your boots muddy, and we'll see you down the trail.
Tailgate drops before the light, coolers packed and the rig sitting right, tracking collars charged, beeping green, boots in the bed and the rifle's clean. Dog box rattling, engines hum, we're chasing bear till the day is done. Old ring barking like he knows what's near, nose to the wind, tail full of cheer. From the Virginia mountains to the Carolina clay, we're burning fuel and miles each day. Every turn's another tale, through mountain mist and paper trails. We see the sunset red in Tennessee, rise through the fog in old WV. North Carolina's pines echo loud with the cry of a hard-run hound. New York forest, Maine's deep snow, Vermont valleys where the black bears go. Truck keeps rolling, wheels don't care. We're chasing daylight, chasing bear. Rest stops few, the roads are long, but the fire in our hearts still burns strong. Wisconsin mornings cutting crisp and clear, Canada's wildwoods drawing near. Still got states we ain't run, but that hound dog fever won't let us quit. We see the sunset red in Tennessee, rise through the fog in old WV. North Carolina's pines echo loud with the cry chasing bear. Gas station coffee, Alpha XL on the dash. Another back road, another bear track. Friends made fast and stories told slow. Under stars where only hunters go. We see the sunrise gold in Canadian air, and it sets on a trail down in Appalachia. Packing steel and leather, grit and care. We're built for the road and chasing bear. So load the dogs and slam the gate. There's a trail ahead, we won't be late. From dawn to dusk, we're always there. Chasing daylight, chasing them bears.